Just getting the drum in there quickly, very quickly at the end of it. Get me air Qatar going. Hi, good afternoon, or welcome lunchtime, really. Good afternoon, and welcome to THFC, To I Die Newsbeat, the transfer news show where we're having these now 3 days a week. Just joining me today, of course, is my usual co-host, Godfather, which his 5 minute Tottenham Godfather talks where we're going up this afternoon as well. But he joins me this morning. Philip, how are you this morning?
Yeah, good damn it, yeah. Looking
Yeah.
forward to a bit of a more relaxing match tomorrow in the FA Cup. Hopefully, the team have put us through recently, but yeah, good.
Yeah. And also, we will be going through a little bit of injury news and also a little bit on Antonio Conte, a bit of breaking news on Conte, actually. Not the news, not on nothing to do with contracts, nothing to do with players, just something that he's pulled out of his press conference this afternoon because of the passing of Gianluca Vialli, which we will be going through in depth now in a little bit in a minute. This show also is being sponsored by Nick Coupland. Big up, Nick. Thank you for everything you do for the channel. Hashtag he is the driving force behind THFC Till I Die as we're on the march to 2,000 subs. Philip, very sad news this morning. Broke about, say, 10 o'clock this morning. Very quickly, sorry. Carl Simpson, hello. It says hello. Derek Hutchinson, rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Derek. And then Carl Simpson saying, rest in peace, Vialli. Yeah, look, he passed away this morning, Philip, at the age, I think it's 58.
Yeah.
Just put it up there. Yeah, he about 10 o'clock this morning, the news broke. Very sad news. Died of cancer. Very, very sad news at the start of the show this morning.
Yeah.
A very good player for Italy. Also played for Chelsea and managed Chelsea in the Premier League. What's your thoughts this morning on the great man?
Yeah, very sad. I mean, I know, he was Chelsea through and through, and he was a good footballer, a good manager, decent guy. And I think the sad thing is he died of pancreatic cancer, and he had been given the all clear a couple of years ago, and it came back at him with a vengeance. And I guess this was expected. It was, it's been coming for a while. But it's very sad, and I'm sure he was a good friend of Antonio Conte's. He wouldn't be that much of an age difference between them. So
no,
I can imagine that Antonio is quite upset by the loss of his friend, and that's probably why he's pulled out of the press conference. I'm sure.
There were teammates for Juventus. I got it here now. I've just got the article. It says Conte's pulled out of Tottenham press conference following the death of former Juventus teammate Gianluca Vialli, and they were together actually. Conte succeeded Vialli as Juventus captain after the striker left for Chelsea in 1996. The former striker took the reins on a full-time basis a year later, winning the FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and UEFA Super Cup during his time in the dugout at Chelsea. But they were teammates. They were teammates at Juventus for a while. Just to go through his honours now as a player, Philip. I mean, look at these. I mean, he won for Sampdoria, he won the Serie A in 1991, the Coppa Italia in 84, 85, 87, 88, and then 88, 89. He won the Super Coppa Italia in 91, UEFA Cup runners-up in 88, 89, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup winner as a player, 89, 90, and the European Cup runners-up in 91, 92, and then with Juventus then, with Conte as his teammate, he won Serie A in 94, 95, also the Coppa Italia in 94, 95. Also won the Super Coppa Italione in 1995, UEFA Champions League winner in 95, 96, UEFA Cup in 92, 93, and then UEFA Cup runners-up in 94, 95, and of course with Chelsea then. He was FA Cup winner in 96, 97, League Cup 97, 98, and then UEFA Cup Winners' Cup 97, 98. And also he played in 2 World Cup for Italy, 86, and then he got his bronze medal in 1990. So a very good career, and one of one of the world's best, really, Philip. I mean, we lost Pele not so long ago, about a week or so ago now. All the great players are sadly passing away, but men do need to get checked out, don't they? It's important that us as men, any bit of, if you feel something's not right, get to the doctor, because it is a killer, isn't it?
Well, we're not the best at going to the doctor. Let's face it. Men put it off and put it off, and put it off. In some cases, till it's too late. So yes, get yourself checked out. If you think there's anything going wrong, it's better put your mind at rest than worrying about it, and get it checked. But it just seems like, I'm just looking back there. There are only 2 of the 1966 World Cup winning team for England survive now. Bobby Charlton and Jeff Hurst. They're the only 2 left.
And Bobby Charlton's not. Bobby Charlton's not well, is he? Either.
No, he's not well either. And then you've got the likes of Pele going off at 82, and Vialli much too young at 58. So it's been a pretty. Like George Cohen died there before Christmas. He was the most recent English player to die. So that's 3 very predominant footballers all gone in the space of 3 weeks. And it's very sad. Very sad start to the year.
It is, and poor old CONTE, he lost one of the coaches that the coach not so long ago. Now this is going to be very hard on him, because they were very close, and of course both being Italian and everything. It is shocking news. So look, I thought.
In fact, I've been feeling too. Our training methods, I don't think are as intense since Vertroni died. To be honest with you, I don't think. I thought maybe he was unique. I don't think anyone could push the players as hard as he did. But I'd just like to see maybe a little bit more intensity in the training methods that they're using.
Well, look, thoughts and prayers are with him this morning, and also, on a slightly happier note, Philip, it is Terry Venables' 80th birthday.
Yeah, and poor old Terry is not well either. I think he's got is either Alzheimer's or dementia that he's suffering from. But this is another omen that I'm looking at for tomorrow. Terry was the manager when we last won the FA Cup in 1991, and we're playing a team that we also beat on the way to winning that trophy that year. So the omens are stacking up. But Terry Venables, I would call him the Del Boy of English football. He had this sort of swagger about him, kind of would you buy a used car from him? Probably not, but he was successful for us, and that's all I really worried about,
Yeah, of course, he signed for Spurs in 1966. He won the FA Cup in 67, beating former club. He started at Chelsea, same as Jimmy Greaves did as well.
That's right, yeah.
And he's well as the Charity Shield. And then he returned after managing Barcelona. He returned to England with Tottenham in 87. He won the FA Cup and Charity Shield in 91 before appointed chief executive of the club. We all know what happened then.
Yeah.
It was all no tea, no sugar in your tea, and all this malarkey. So that's it. And also, we've got injury news for tomorrow. Kulusevski, Bentancur, Richarlison. What CONTE has said, Kulusevski is not a serious injury, but we need monitor it day by day. Tomorrow, then we take it. Do you think he might be involved, Kulusevski, on Saturday?
No. I think Brian Hill's performances over the last couple of games have more or less meant that Kulusevski will be rested. If he's fit tomorrow, he'll be rested. We need him more against Arsenal. I'd hate to see him come on tomorrow and get a relapse and then miss the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
So I think we should have enough to beat Portsmouth without risking Kulusevski tomorrow.
Bentancur is also injured. What CONTE has said about Bentancur, he has started work. He's still not ready also for the FA Cup game, but we hope to have him back for the next Premier League game, which is the big Arsenal derby.
Yes. No, I think that's correct. That's the best way of doing it.
Yeah. And then also Lucas Moura, Brazilian attacker, has been out with a tendon issue that continues to plague him throughout the season, and it's currently been unknown when he returns, if he ever will return.
He ever does. I mean, poor old Lucas, he's had a rough time with injury, And he is a good option for us to come off the bench, but we don't even have that at the moment. So we're very thin up front, really, at the moment. Very thin.
We are. And also, this was another last bit of the Tottenham news. I saw this article, and I thought I'd put it in. Kane says his World Cup penalty miss will haunt him for the rest of his life. And what he said in the article was, I probably remember it for the rest of my life, but that's part of the game. It's not going to affect me as a player or as a person. I'll keep working hard to improve. after it happened, I just wanted to play again as quickly as possible to get it out of my head. Is something you have to deal with. It was a tough moment for me. He continues saying it's never an easy thing to go through, but it's part of highs and lows of our sport. I had a bit of time away just to reflect, and it's made me more hungry to come back and be successful. And he continues to saying that this is the end of the article. He said, so nights like last night against Palace are always good for me and the team, and it was much needed after the last couple of results, Kane added. So he's come back, got to break Jimmy Greaves' record, break the Premier League record, Philip, and really that penalty miss probably spurred him on more than affected him.
Well, he scored 3 goals now in 3 games.
Yeah,
since he came back. And the lure of Jimmy Greaves' record has got to be in his mind. And I mean, that's going to be one of the big moments in our season when he actually does that, because Jimmy Greaves is an idol of mine, has been since I was a kid. And I never, ever in my lifetime thought anyone would beat that record. I thought it was there forever. But here we are. We've got, Harry Kane's come along, an absolute role model of a professional. But I cannot understand the hate he takes from England fans. I really can. I mean, during the World Cup there, I saw some post saying, Harry Kane, I hope he misses this penalty. I hope he doesn't score. I mean, for God's sake, he's the captain of your national team. Why just put club preferences and club prejudices aside and get behind the guy? He's the best you've had for years, and you're slagging him off.
I know.
It's unbelievable. It just does not sit well with me at all. And I'm delighted now that he's come out and said that article, because while he says it'll affect him for the rest of his life, I don't think it'll affect his playing. I think it'll make him more hungry to score goals. And all the better for us if that's the case.
You look at, I mean, how will you feel when he breaks that record? Because you are a big Jimmy Greaves fan, and you've seen Jimmy Greaves play. So how will you
Jimmy
feel?
Greaves play? I mean, there are 2 different types of player. Jimmy Greaves was the sort of artful dodger. He might do nothing for 85 minutes and he scored a hat-trick in the other 5 minutes. Harry Kane does tend to get involved in the game a lot more, dropping deep and whatever. But Jimmy was played in the days when there was not much. He left the track and back to the other guys. He'd be like, I always remember one game when I was a kid. I went to see him play at West Bromwich. And Spurs were under that. Now, there was a difficult place to go to in those days. Jeff Astle was playing for them, Bobby Hope. They were a good team. And Jimmy Greaves spent 85 minutes scratching his arse on the halfway line, literally doing nothing. 2 minutes from the end, Pat Jennings collected a cross, did one of these long throw-outs. Pat was great for the long throw-outs. West Brom had pushed forward and just left one centre back with Jimmy Greaves. Right? Jimmy was round that guy like a rat up a drain pipe, down the other end, walk around the goalkeeper, put the ball in the net. It was the only thing he'd done the entire 90 minutes, and we won the match 1-0. That was Jimmy Greaves. And we loved him.
I think one of the best goals I saw Jimmy Greaves, where he started from just past the halfway line against Man United in
1965. I think that was. Yeah. But I mean, I'll be sad and I'll be delighted that a player as nice as Harry Kane, as good guy, not a flash Harry or not like a guy that's getting caught coming drunk out of nightclubs every night. Things like that. He's a good, wholesome guy, and he should be a role model. And I'd be delighted, and I hope he gets the credit that he's due for when he does break the record. And I'm sure Jimmy Greaves' family will be the first to congratulate him. Now I seem to be on my own.
Yeah, sorry. Just something out. Sorry there. Look, Carl Simpson said Jimmy Greaves will be looking down proud of Kane. He loved him. Yeah, of course he did.
Absolutely. There's a lovely picture actually when Jimmy Greaves visited the ground there. I'm not sure if it was new ground or the old ground, but Harry Kane, there's a picture of the two of them together, and it's a treasure. That picture should be literally splashed all over the papers when Harry does beat the record.
Yeah. And then Ben Kaufman, big up Ben. Big up Ben anyway. And everyone please get over to the Kaufman coffee shop where he makes the best coffee in London, apparently. And I've never tasted it, but apparently it's the best coffee in London. And thanks for coming in, Ben. And he says there are two types of player who should aspire to be: Jimmy Greaves, a national gifted, ruthless talent who scored when he wanted, and Harry Kane, who is not naturally gifted but shows massive determination to get everything he ever wanted and deserves all the praise he earns. Yeah.
It's very well put, Ben. Very well put.
There's one thing about Jimmy Greaves. He would start before the match, go into the loo, have a tip of brandy and a cigarette before the match.
Yeah.
And Bill Nick would be giving his, pre-match talk. Where's Jimmy? Oh, he's in the loo having a fag. So that was the type Jimmy Greaves was.
But those were the days, when after the match, you'd find the likes of Jimmy Greaves, Alan Gilzine, and it's like sitting in the bell in the corner pin or something having a pint after the match. Can you see that happening today? I can't.
And Terry Venables and George Graham were like that.
Yeah.
They opened up I think they opened up a tailor shop some down posh end of London,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's get back on to the transfer news, Philip. And the first one we talked today, it cost Spurs eye Stefan Devay bargain. Now, according to the article, we could get him for €4 million. So, do you want to read up the article there, Philip, as I bring it up to you?
Yeah, according to sports media set via Sports Witness, they claim that Spurs have courted the 30-year-old defender as they look to either sign him on the cheap during the transfer window. Now, his contract is up in July. Or for free at the end of his current contract, which expires in the summer. Yeah. Inter Milan have made an attempt to renew his deal for another 2 years to avoid him leaving for nothing. Now, it's up to De Vrij. Does he feel like he needs a new challenge? He's worked with Antonio Conte before. So at the end of the season, they've yet to hear an answer. Antonio Conte has worked with the Netherlands International in the past, and it's thought that it could be a defining factor in De Vrij's decision-making, I presume, coming next. So, yeah, I would be surprised if Conte couldn't work his magic, then bring De Vries in.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great signing for us. He's a good, solid defender. Okay, the age profile isn't great. It probably goes against what we actually want to get for. But if you get him for $4 million, I mean, that is a slip. That is bargain basement.
Yeah. Apparently, Carl Simpson has a tip of brandy and a fag in the loo before he starts work.
I think there's even another picture of Jimmy Greaves having a fag on the bench.
Yeah, there is. That wouldn't surprise me. Big up John Fitzpatrick as well.
Big up, John.
And Derek Hutchins said Jimmy Greaves, Alan Gilzine, best double act ever for Spurs. Yeah.
Alan Gilzine was another man who used to disappear after every match very quickly, apparently. And he drove a Jaguar, which was quite flashy for a footballer in those days.
Yeah.
Alan Gilzine, and they used to say he has a wife and 2 pubs to support.
And Carl Simpson says Devay is going to happen. I'm sure of it within the next week. Yeah,
hopefully.
I would say in the next week or so that deal will go through. Look for me, we need him, and he can sit in the middle. Romero, Devay, Longley. What a back three!
The holy trinity.
What a back three! Yeah. And if we do get that in, Philip, do you think that will make some of the fan base is never going to be satisfied because of the way they want to go? But the majority of the fan base, do you think that will make them happy seeing that sort of player coming in? And then if he is coming in, does that mean Conte is going to be around? Because these players wouldn't come in if he wasn't going to stick around next season.
Yeah, well, I think if De Vries obviously has a history with Conte, he'll want assurances that he's not going to sign for a club that Conte is not going to be there at in the summer. So, I'd say the most we'll go for is maybe a 2-year contract.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But I think, yes, I think he'll want assurances, and it would certainly satisfy me to have a good, tall, commanding centre back, and in the middle of either Romero and Longley, because I think that would give us a lot more solidity than we have had in the past. And okay, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. You're never going to get that. No. But if he comes in and does the same job that Romero has done, and Longley is now starting to do, then I think the majority of fair-minded fans will be happy with it.
I'd say so. Also, if you do want to get your super chats into me or Philip over anything you've seen or any questions you want to ask about what we're talking about today, please do. And also, please get your memberships as well. They do help. And they're up there. I think there's 4 different membership starting from $2.99, which is trying to keep it as cheap as possible. We know it's not. We know times are tough out there with a living crisis and everything. So we've tried to make the memberships as cheap as possible. So that would also help us so much growing as well. We've got Carl Simpson, Philip. If I bring these comments, do you want to read them for us?
Yeah. Carl says, bringing in Porro as well. That defence starts looking stronger. But mind you, I've been really impressed with Doherty lately. Yeah. Now, there is a train of thought going around that Conte is not entirely happy with Porro's physical physical presence, and he might not be standing up to the rigors of the Premiership. So that's whether that's true or not, I don't know. Doherty has played well. I mean, he scored goals for fun during the friendlies before the restart, and scored a goal on Wednesday and played pretty well. But I think what people need to remember here is we've got Destiny Adoje coming in January in the summer. So I would think that possibly the right wing back position wouldn't be the most important to fill just at this moment in time, because the guy that's in possession now at the moment isn't doing too badly. We have another reinforcement coming in the summer, so I think we're probably better off heading for the centre back and the centre midfield situation at the moment.
On that, Philip, would you bring him back now in January, break his loan deal, and bring him in now? So he's got the rest. If it is possible, my train of thought is, given the rest of the second half of the season within the first team, get him used to the Premier League instead of
it's certainly a good idea. Yeah, I would agree with you, but I just don't know whether the legalities of the law, whether there's an actual break clause in the contract. It possibly not. I'd feel that maybe there isn't.
Yeah,
it's different lending a player out that's already playing at the club and bringing him back, or bringing one in for the first time. There could be a different scenario there.
Well, Philip, look, Doherty, I can never forgive him for the last game we went to, when Ireland played Norway, and I went with Dave and Ollie, and it was that boring. I was shouting at them the whole match about wearing gloves.
Yeah,
he was the only player on the pitch.
Yeah,
I swear to God, at one point he heard me because he really looked at me. That was the game where there were people up where we were sitting, was the posh seat, really were comfortable seats. They were getting programs, right, and making them into paper airplanes and chucking them down. It was the most funniest game I ever went to. And the best bit of it, I'll tell the story about this fella. He tried to run onto the pitch and it fell over the advertising board. And there was two guards next to the people stopping getting up it. And both of them were big lads. He looked at the fella who was a big lad himself on the floor. He looked at him, looked at his mate. Nobody's watching him. He belly flopped him. And then about 3 or 4 of them thought, oh, geez, the most funniest thing I ever saw in my life. I had a great time with Ollie and that. But we've got season tickets, Philip, for the games for the European campaign. I cannot wait for that.
That'd be good.
Looking forward to that.
But go back to Doherty. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but the way I look at it is this: when a player comes in that's having so much criticism and performs, then I'll back him, until he doesn't perform. But at the moment, Doherty's a man in possession, and and he's playing a lot more further forward. He was up against Palace. He was in the penalty area quite a lot. So let's just stick with the guy until he makes a mistake. Then we can start bitching about him again.
Would you keep him there next season as a backup, Doherty?
Well, I'm sure his contract is longer than that. Yeah.
Well, don't forget we've got Spence as well.
Yeah, well, Spence is a bit of an enigma. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know what's going on.
I think he'll go out on loan in January because I just don't think Conte fancies him.
No, he doesn't.
It's a shame. It's a shame because the guy is a good player.
It is, Philip. And look, this Spence thing is, we could do a whole show on Jed Spence and the why and the ifs and whats. It's just mind-boggling. Look, do you want to read this one? Have Filio? He big up Filio.
Yeah, Philip. Thank
you for coming in.
Big up Dermot and Philip. Madison would make such a difference. I want a Skriniar to replace Dar.
Yeah,
I think we wanted Skriniar for a while, but if you look at the way Tottenham do business, if Skriniar is going to cost 30 million, if Rees is going to cost 4 million, which one do you think Levy's going to go for?
I know.
It's not Skriniar.
Exactly. And also with Madison, we have got news on Madison later in this show, so Filio, stay around because I have found I've done a bit of digging around on Madison and that deal, and I've got a little bit of information that may interest you, and it may actually interest Spurs fans as well. We've got Mia, who's looking after the chat for us in the background. Big up, Mia. And she says, if we don't make a song for Destiny using Lionel Richie's song, You're On My Destiny, it's a crime.
It's true.
You've got to. You've got to. And what's the song they're using for Hill? Forget the song.
Oh boy, it's
if somebody in the chat will know, somebody in the chat.
I saw somebody put up yesterday.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. And Carl Simpson's also put Lionel Richie, hello. That's a good one. I like that.
That's a good one. Yeah.
No. We should do a poll with that. That for me, sorry, Mia, I don't mean to disrespect you, but that's my best one. I like that's actually quite a good one. See, can you beat that, Mia? Carl Simpson's also put here, Philip. We would probably have to pay 20 million to bring him in January.
Yeah,
I don't know who's on the
Skriniar, I think. Skriniar, I think we're talking about there. Yeah. At least 20 million. Yeah.
And then Carl says that's number one in the charts. Mia wants to do a duet with him, and then he said that's number one in the charts. He said, "There's rumors today Spence wants to go out on loan." Yes, I've read that today.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I mean, the guy's got to be frustrated.
Yeah,
really. He thought he had his dream move.
You've been following football a long time. You've seen big moves come and go. You, me, both have, but you've got more knowledge than me. Was it a Conte signing? Was it a Levy signing? Or was it a signing with Conte's blessing? How do you look at it?
It's so hard to figure that one out. That is a real head scratcher. It's the biggest head scratcher in Tottenham transfer window in a long time. I got the feeling that no player was coming into that club unless Conte and Paratici wanted him, right?
Yeah.
Which you can take that he came in, didn't turn out to be what they thought they were getting, and now he's been kind of consigned to the fringes of the squad, right? There's also a thing that Daniel Levy wanted to show that he was still in charge, basically, and pushed for the transfer. Now, I still think he had to get the agreement of Paratici and Conte, but he probably gave him such a persuasive argument they took him on. But it hasn't worked out. And unfortunately, it's probably something we will never know about unless now he goes off on loan and decides to spill his guts to some local newspaper, and then we'll get the real story. But until that happens, I don't think we're ever going to know what happened there.
Whenever you wanted an Amazon documentary, that was the season to have it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Filio here's Filio 123 courses put. What's that coming over the Gill? Is it Gil Messi? It's Gil Messi. I like that. That's from the what's that coming over the Gill? Is it the monster? I forget who sung that. It's I don't know if it's the Foo Fighters or I think it's the Foo Fighters. I might be wrong on that, but it comes from that song.
Still bugging me what the other Gil Messi song is now.
It comes from in excess. That song, "Love Will Tear Us Apart." Gil will tear you apart. I think something along them. Carl Simpson says, "I meant
that's it.
you,
You're right, Carl. So we thought it was Skriniar. It was Udogie you were talking about. Yeah. I'd say that's probably the case because Udinese. Again, this is all probably down to what payment structure Tottenham agreed.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't see us seeing him until he comes in the summer.
Carl Simpson said, I think there was a reason Levy was doing the Spence deal. It was a club buy. I think Levy wanted to do it, Philip, because he just felt a bit left out. He wasn't doing anything football-wise, so he's just Paratici said, "Here, just do this one, keep you happy."
Didn't work out, unfortunately. But
didn't work out. Does Levy signings ever work out? To be fair,
true enough.
If Levy was a car salesman, he wouldn't be selling very good cars.
He'd be the Boise of the car sales world,
He would. Well, I don't know. Terry Venables wouldn't be too far behind him.
I always think of that episode of Only Fools and Horses when they're watching a funeral going by and the car breaks down and Boise says, Trigger says to Boise, "Did you know the deceased? You're getting very upset." He says, "No, but I know the guy I sold him that car last week."
It's when you turn around to our cab, but it says your cab's here, your mini cab's here.
Mini cab's here, that's the one.
I do love Only Fools and Horses, I have to admit. Right, Philip, Conte wants to bolster the Spurs midfield. We keep hearing he wants to it. But this is about Kessie. Now, we all know about Barcelona's financial problems. Now, apparently, if I'm correct in saying this, Barcelona have to offload players because they cannot get any more money to support them through the government and through the European grants that they were getting. Now, is it the time now for Paratici to forget Juventus, go to Barcelona, say, look, here's 70 million or 80 million for 2 or 3 players? Because they have to offload 200 million worth of players off their books.
Yeah, do you remember
So,
that during the summer there,
mm,
they were trying to sign players and they couldn't register them because
yeah,
they hadn't got rid of other players. So the same situation is here. Again, it depends on who they're offering. Like Kessie, to me, would be a great signing for Spurs.
yeah,
He really would. Now, whoever else is on the shopping list, I do not know.
no,
I haven't really been following Barcelona too much this season, but
no,
I think offering them 80 million for 2 or 3 players. I think this is where Levy's negotiation skills can come in. Like if you're dealing with a club that needs money in, the chances are you can force a bargain there. So we should be able to do business with them at a fairly reasonable price.
yeah.
But then again, we don't want to be just buying players for the sake of buying them. We need to buy players that we need, that we have homes for, we have positional need for, and that would be Kessie would be the good attacking midfielder that we want.
Well, the rest of this article, Philip, I read the article out here now. Or if you want, if I bring it up, you can read it up if you want. But it goes into great depth, and it was a really interesting article. It was from the I found it on the boot room. I went on to Spurs News now, and it was on the boot room, but it's actually from La Repubblica, which is a Spanish newspaper. So if I bring these up, do you want to read this out? Because it's a really interesting article, and I'm sure people find it interesting. There.
Well, according to La Repubblica, the Italian is keen on agreeing a deal for Frank Kessie this winter, just months after he completed the move to the Catalan giants from AC Milan. The report suggests that Kessie is number 1 on Conte's list of targets. I'm glad to hear that. And he may be given an advantage in his pursuit due to the midfielder's current situation in Spain. Now, he's not getting many matches, I don't think.
No.
Barcelona's financial struggles may benefit Conte. There you go.
Yeah. Well, this bit here, Philip, it says AC released an update this week confirming that Barcelona 200 million wage crisis is still a prevalent issue at the Spotify new Camp Nou. And Xavi may be forced to oversee the exit of several players. Look, is it now worth Paratici thinking, get in there quick? Because we could get some bargains out of there.
Well, I know that some of the players in Barcelona are owed huge money in back wages as well. Do you know the guy that was going to sign for United last summer and wouldn't go because if he'd gone, I forget his name now. He didn't go because if he'd gone, he would have lost his access to the money, or he could have, had to write it off. So let him go in there and just identify a couple of players that we need, make them a ridiculously low offer, and hopefully they accept it. Because again, a fire sale is always a good time to buy, as long as the asset is quality.
Yeah. Carl Simpson put here, Philip, and there's a few really good comments on that. There's one here from FTSN column. He's putting a very good comment, and big up ever. If you want to make a super chat, you can, but also pick up your memberships there as well. It does help us. It really is. But hit that like button, hit that subscription button. It does help with the algorithm as well. Carl Simpson put Kessie wants to include Kessie in a deal with Wolves for Neves. He isn't interested. If we want Kessie, we have to act fast. I agree with him. We'll have to act very fast.
Yeah, but if Kessie had a choice of coming to Tottenham or Wolves, which one would you pick?
Hang on, let me think. Tottenham.
Tough, isn't it?
You have to think. And then he says Barca. Filio said 13 mil for Kessie. Yeah. I heard bargain. Yeah, it is bargain.
That is a bargain. That is a bargain.
Yeah. We got Digsy BTW7 what's up, G? I have no idea. He's on Twitch. Big up, Digi. I don't know if it's big up wherever you are. I'm glad you're coming in. And we've got this one here from FTSN column. Big up, sir. How are you? I hope you're doing well. And he said, you say that you could strike a bargain with Barca. However, if they need the money, they will want full price for each player.
Yeah,
but that article,
I won't get it.
That article we went through, he could go for nothing. He could leave for free, which is a very interesting article because Barcelona are in a lot of trouble, Philip. And look, we know clubs are struggling. The Italian league is struggling with certain clubs. We know the Spanish league is struggling with certain clubs. With the Premier League, Philip, are teams financially better? And is this where Levy has done a good job of keeping us on the straight and narrow? Where you look at clubs like Juventus and you look at Inter Milan, some of the Italian leagues struggling, Juventus, Barcelona are in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah.
With all the criticism, based on what I'm saying, Philip, with all the criticism Levy gets, it's this one thing we should actually thank him for.
Well, certainly we don't want to be put back in a revisited situation where we were in 1991, when because of the chairman getting involved, spending money on extracurricular activities that nothing to do with the football club, that nearly bankrupted Spurs. We don't want to get into that situation again. No. And yes, if Levy deserves credit for anything, it is the fact that financially he is a good manager of money. Now, that can be very frustrating for fans and has been, when he won't spend the extra few bob. The likes of Jack Grealish, there's 3 million in the difference, he wouldn't pay it. There's been others, So yeah, from that point of view, he's done a reasonably good job. He's kept Spurs, like he's managed to build the club or build a training ground, build the stadium, and that financially we are very secure, right? Which means he's not going to take chances, and that's probably where the frustration sets in with a lot of the fans. So he has kept us on a straight and narrow. He will never pay over the odds for a player, which in a way, when you see Chelsea, this new manager or the new owner now coming in, offering 10 million more than a release clause. Now, where is the sense in that? Now, it's like going into a shop and saying, how much is that bottle of whiskey? It's 10 quid. It's 20 quid. Okay, I'll give you 30 for it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up,
Philip, for me, this Chelsea thing, if it wasn't for what's happening in the world at the moment, Bowley wouldn't be in there. And Chelsea wouldn't be spending this money like they are. So,
and look where they are at the moment. Look where they are. Chelsea are. They're 10 points behind us, right? And they're closer to relegation than they are to the Champions League. So it just shows you, lashing out money does not always bring you the right results.
No, they're 10 points from fourth, and they're 10 points from relegation.
Yeah,
says it all, really. But do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for what's happening in the world, Abramovich wouldn't have sold Chelsea. So they wouldn't be spending the money. I don't think Tuchel would have been sacked from Chelsea either. So that means Graham Potter wouldn't have gone there. I'm just laughing what's happening at Chelsea at the moment, to be fair. Sorry.
And there's another club, I think it might be mentioned in dispatches later on, that are in financial trouble at the moment. And it's a pity to see it because they're not one of the mega big clubs. It's Leicester City.
Yeah.
And Everton, they're also a club that can't afford to bring in any players because they need to sell players first.
Yeah.
And that is all down to bad management by the owners. So from that point of view, you have to give Daniel Levy credit that we're not in that batch of clubs that are struggling to survive. Like, I know we're frustrated, and rightly so, but I'd rather be frustrated and solvent than turning up the next day saying, is my club still in existence?
We went through that. We went through that. And as a 14-year-old, Philip, going to bed upset thinking, do I have a football club to support in the morning? I never want to go through that again. And I don't want any younger fan going through that again. It was horrendous.
Dermot, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you my story on that now. Maybe I've mentioned this before on Dave's channel, but I think it's an interesting story. June 1991, I was on holidays in what was Yugoslavia with my kids, right? And we were sitting in a hotel. We had Sky News downstairs in the basement, right? The war started on the Tuesday that we were there, right? So we were confined to the hotel. We couldn't really go outside because the conflict with Serbia had just started. So I spent the entire time watching Sky News, which was literally Tottenham News 24/7 on the Sky News channel. So I came out of that holiday on the Saturday. We came home, I think, and Terry Venables and Alan Sugar had just done the deal to sort of save the club. So I spent that entire holiday wondering, did I have a club to go back to? So it was. I wasn't so much worried about the war. I was more worried about Tottenham.
Yeah, I remember, and I thought to myself, I was thinking the other day, a 14-year-old me, I actually did cry because I was upset my club was gone out of existence.
Yeah.
But I couldn't force myself to support another club, and it's that sort of thing it holds on you. But we'll get back onto that, Philip, because there's a few other bits that will link into that again. So we'll go back. Filio here, I've got a few really good comments in here, and big up to everyone who's in the chat. And please hit that like button. It helps with their algorithm. It says, Filio put here, do we really need a similar midfield to Bentancur, Basuma, etc.? SARS seems like he could add to the mix. This is on the Kessie deal.
Yeah.
Can I just have my point first, Philip? Sorry. I agree with him. I don't think we need Kessie. And I think going to add another midfielder to where you got Bentancur, Basuma, and Sarr, Ollie Skip, Harvey White, that's 5. That's 5 we got already. Why would we want to add another one unless you're going to move on 2 or 3 of them? It doesn't make sense. Now, not unless Conte wants a big squad. So if we do qualify for the Champions League and next season we do go far in the League Cup, that we've got players for every competition, that he can rest players and evenly give everyone game time. But I wouldn't. I think we don't need another midfielder. We need a cam instead of a midfielder, Philip.
Yeah,
so I don't know where you are.
Kessie is an attacking midfielder, and that's what was missing at the moment. Bentancur, Basuma, and Sarr, Højbjerg, and Skip, they're all defensive midfielders, really. You know, but Bentancur can pick a pass. But I think if Kessie comes in, it's the same thing. If you buy Kessie, if you buy James Maddison, that's the type of player they are. And I think creativity levels are very low at the moment. I think we do need another option not to play in every match, maybe, but to have someone on the bench or coming on that can pick a pass. We haven't had a central midfielder to do that since Christian Eriksen left.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think we do need a bit of an attacking option midfield wise. We've plenty of defensive midfielders, and I would disagree with you. I think we do need, whether it's Kessie or somebody else, that we want someone in that squad to help. Which means Harry Kane hasn't got to come down back to the halfway line to create the chances anymore.
Yeah. That's why I love football. It's all about opinions, Philip. And that's why I love the game. It's all about opinions. Just another quick shout out that big up to Nick Coupland, who is our channel sponsor. Hashtag the driving force behind THFC to the life. Thank you, Nick, for everything you do. And from me and Philip and Ellie, you're a great sponsor and a great person behind the scenes. So big up, Nick. FTSN Colm, I believe you was on about Frankie de Jong as well last summer in regards to the United bid interest. Yeah, we were.
He's owed millions by Barcelona.
It's rumbled on, Philip, and it rumbled on and run on, and he's still at Barcelona. Do you know what? I would love him at Tottenham. I would have him over Kessie.
Oh yeah, but you're talking economies of scale. Frankie de Jong would cost 60 or 70 million.
Yeah, but if Conte wants two, as Conte says, Philip, he wants 260, 70 players each window. Yeah. Wouldn't that be one of the 60, 70 million?
Levy opening the purse strings that much, really, It's been said that the players that come in are going to be either players, hungry young players, but are not huge money. Can you imagine what Frankie de Jong would be on if he came in? Like, everyone in the club has to be paid less than Harry Kane. And I don't think de Jong would come in and accept a wage like that, because if he's clocked up 13 million owed to Barcelona, it just shows you what he's on,
Yeah, it does. Carl Simpson's put 80% of teams in Serie A cannot afford to buy players. That's all financially screwed.
That's it. And this is the time where Spurs can make hay by going in and making bids again to give these guys some cash flow. And obviously Levy's not going to pay the full whack for them, but we might get a couple of bargains there.
Yeah. Column here again. And I'll Philip, this is for you, really. Would you be happy to pay the 45 million euro release clause for Pedro Porro? And that actually goes on, Philip, very much onto the next bit of transfer news. It actually is about that. And it says here that Tottenham targets Pedro Porro and Marcus Edwards are both aware of interest from Spurs in January transfer window and are interested in the move. Now, that's according to the Portuguese outlet, A Bola. Now, would you pay the 45 million release clause for Pero?
No. Not with the Destiny Udogie coming in.
No.
I mean, it's again, I think Conte has reservations about the guy's physique, whether he's up to the standard of the physicality of the Premier League. So I can't see it. And I think that's probably why Spurs made an offer way less than his offer, his buyout. They knew it wasn't going to be accepted.
Yeah.
And as regarding Marcus Edwards, we had this discussion last night, and I have a thing that in most cases, and not all cases, you should never go back. I mean, Marcus Edwards had a bit of an attitude problem, a bit of a bad boy reputation his first time around. And okay, he's got a point to prove, which you could tell he was trying to prove it when he played this earlier in the year. he was out to prove a point to Tottenham, and he did.
Yeah.
He played well. He scored a good goal, and fair play to the lad. But I think that's water under the bridge.
Yeah,
I don't
think so.
especially with the money they're looking for him. I know we have a 50% reduction on the sell-on clause.
Yeah,
but if I was Conte now, and I had two piles of players in front of me, I had the two guys from Inter Milan, Dumfries and De Vries. I had Kessie from Barcelona, and I had Porro and Edwards from Sporting. I would quietly ditch the Porro and Edwards scenario and go for the other one.
Well, apparently, Fabrizio Romero is saying understands that Pero is the top of the list for Tottenham as new right back. Spurs were trying to sign Pero as a player in this January window. So, that we'll see what happens, Philip. But look, I understand. I'd rather have too many right wing backs than not enough. Because
Carl Simpson saying that Udogie's left wing back. I'm not sure if he's left wing back or he's versatile. I'm not sure if he's versatile. I'm not quite sure on that now. Yeah. But we could end up with look at all the right wing backs we've got. If we add them all up, you have Spence, you have Doherty, you have Royale. You buy another one by Pero, that's 4, 5, and then you've got Sessegnon and Perisic on the other side. With seven wing backs.
That should keep us happy. Filio wanted 3 causes, but Kessie is like a box-to-box midfielder, probably a bit like Roy Keane. That sort of up and down the pitch, so good motor in him. He's cheap though, and so it would probably be worth it. Harry Kane has got a match highest wage in the contract of a player came in. So say if Dion came in and Kane's on £200,000 a week, I think, and he was on 250 or 220, say 250. Kane would then automatically go up to that 250. So that's very smart for him. Carl Simpson, Philip, Edwards, just idle journalism. We don't need them. And look,
I think I agree with that. Yeah,
I agree with you as well, Philip, and Carl Simpson as well. Edwards isn't the Conte signing, in my opinion. No, he's not. That's another Levy signing, to be fair. And Filio says left wing back. So
that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
We with Emerson probably leaving the club, Philip. You've got you are bringing Pero for right wing back, and you've got your Joji for the left wing back, right? Goalkeeper wise, who would you go for goalkeeper? Now, I'm a big fan of Bazunu. Really am. Love him. I think we should have got him when he was at Man City before he moved to Southampton. Look, there's a lot of other people saying Dean Henderson, the Everton goalkeeper, Nick Pope as well, the goalkeeper for Newcastle. If we couldn't get Bazunu in, who else would you like us to bring in? Because we need to do something this summer with that position. And it's very hard. What would you do if you're a Conte?
Well, I'm like you. I'm a big Bazuma fan, and the guy's only 22 or 23. He's got a huge career ahead of him.
Yeah.
Nick Pope and Jordan Pickford, they're heading towards their 30s, which means you're replacing a 35-year-old or whatever with a 30-year-old, which is not really the way we do it. Like when Hugo came in, he was 25, or 26. That's the type of age group we want to go for. I think if Southampton get relegated, which is looking extremely possible the way they're playing at the moment, I think we should go after Bazuma, really.
Yeah.
Now, it's different getting a transfer from Southampton. If he was playing for Manchester City, I don't think they'd sell to us.
No.
But he's now a full-time Southampton player, so that could be an option. Dean Henderson, he's on loan at Forest. He's doing okay. He's not a bad keeper. I'm not quite sure what age he is, but he would probably be one to good look at. Then they looked at the Oblak, the Atletico Madrid keeper, but he's getting into his twilight years as well. So now I know goalkeepers can go on longer, that they're longer, that they're not subject to the physicality of outfield players, so they can go on longer. But I think I don't think we'll go for Neville Southall. Well, mind you, we could, because he probably filled the whole goal. Nobody get past him.
Yeah.
But that's going to be, for me, the priority next summer is going to be not replacing, but bringing in a shadow goalkeeper for Hugo. Hugo's going into the last year of his contract next year, and we need to have the replacement fully tuned up and ready to go whenever he leaves. So that's going to be very, very interesting what happens there. One guy that I didn't mind too is the guy that got sent home from the World Cup. Remember, he was Onana, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Played in goal for Ajax, and we beat them in the semi-final. He's not a bad keeper, but again, I think he's got disciplinary issues. He likes a bit of wacky-backy as well, you know. So,
fair play to him.
Allegedly, sorry, allegedly.
Oh Lord God, Philip, you're a great one.
That's going to be very interesting, and I'm sure Paratici is on this case now. But we have to. It's a huge decision because replacing a legend like Hugo Lloris is not going to be easy. No. And let's face it, we have Spurs down the years have been pretty fortunate with our goalkeepers. Really, you think about it. You know, we've had a couple of duds, but mostly good keepers.
Look, I don't want the Everton goalkeeper anywhere near our club. I cannot stand him. I think he's a loose cannon. I think he's a complete head case. I know he done well in the World Cup for England. I keep forgetting his name. That's how much I don't want him. Pickford. Pickford. Carl Simpson's got a great choice. Neville Southall. I'm sure we can get him out of retirement for a few quid. Give him a few pints of lager and
he might be the most mobile goalkeeper on earth now. That's the only thing, you know.
Well, he could save. He could probably save with his belly. You know, do a bit of belly.
You give him 10 minutes notice of every back pass. You know.
Yeah. Who is the Colombian goalkeeper, Philip, who did the scorpion kick?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
This
guy with the long flowing black hair. Oh, I can see it.
He was
somebody in the chat give us that name. We just can't remember what his name was.
He wasn't a goalkeeper. He was a sweeper for Colombia. He would go out the middle of the pitch. It was quite funny. Filio put here Mike. How do you pronounce that surname?
Mike Magnan.
Yeah, from AC Milan. Lloris needs to be replaced, as we've been talking next season. Also, the captaincy needs to be changed next season. Never like the goalkeeper or striker captain. No, nor than me. Look, you look at the great captains of the past, Philip. Blanchflower, defending midfielder. Graham Roberts, Steve Perriman, defending midfielder. Graham Roberts was a centre-back midfielder. You had Gary Mabbott, central midfielder. There wasn't many goalkeeping captains at Tottenham, apart from Lloris. Lloris is not loud enough. He doesn't. How can a goalkeeper inspire a team? You can't. You really can't. Carl Simpson says Southampton is going down, so would be cheaper. Yeah, that's true.
Only Higuita is the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Valderrama.
No, it's Higuita.
Oh, is it Higuita? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Who was Valderrama?
Valderrama's a golf course in Spain.
Yeah, probably.
They play the Ryder Cup.
And it was you are right. He had that long curly hair. He was. I remember watching a match with my dad. May rest in pieces. This going back, we were doing the job away, and we were watching Colombia against England. It was the only thing that was on where we were in our digs. I remember him doing that kick, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought, what the fucking hell?
I reckon he must have been on what Pablo Escobar was good at selling.
Apples. He was good at apples. That's what he was good at selling. Look, now, Filio, we told you we had a bit of Maddison news, and we're here for you, sir. So I hope you like this. Now, Tottenham are handed the boost, Philip, in the James Maddison transfer chase after Brendan Rodgers' admission. Now, Brendan Roberts told reporters this in the news conference, right? It's getting more difficult. The financial resources, not just in the top six, makes it really difficult. Clubs have multiple injections of finance. We have one owner and one family. Each year it gets tougher. It doesn't soften our ambition to be super competitive. Look, Philip, I've been really impressed how Leicester have been run. They've won an FA Cup. They won the league. And if you look how they did it, I mean, the year they won the league was a freak. Nobody will ever, that would never happen again. They won an FA Cup under Brendan Rodgers as well. Now, if they have to sell to, say, Maddison to us, does that again prove that you look at Everton, you look at some of the other clubs that are financially struggling, does that again prove that being prudent is probably the way to go now in modern football, where years ago it was spend, and not work. Gate receipts will get us out of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you look at the Everton situation, I mean, I looked at a list of the players they bought in recent years now, and disaster would be the best way of describing him, really, with a couple of very, rare exceptions. The players they bought for money, that I mean, let's face it, the teams they bought the players from saw Everton coming. They saw them coming, and they laughed behind their back once they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Everton are in a situation now that I don't think they can barely afford the wages. They're so badly stuck for cash. Leicester is another situation. Leicester, okay, let's go back to 2016. They won the league because every other team more or less laid down and let them win the league.
Yeah.
Suddenly teams would turn up and play against Tottenham and they wouldn't play against Leicester. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I always reckon there's something behind that. Fair dues to them, they won us. Fair done, well done. And only Tottenham could finish third in a 2-horse race that season, but that's another day's work. I think Leicester. Remember that Leicester owner was killed in a helicopter crash, leaving the ground there a few years ago. That's a hard one to recover from as well.
It is.
So, they're basically in a situation where they may have to let Maddison go to fund other players. And I mean, and again, Leicester have bought players recently which are suspect in their quality. They really have. Then they let the likes of Demarai Gray go from 2 and 3 million. Demarai Gray is a much better player than that, but they let him go basically just to get the cash. So it's tough on them. If we can benefit by bringing in Maddison would be my choice to bring in ahead of Kessie, ahead of anybody, because Maddison's he's a good player. We saw him against Leicester earlier in the season now, and he scored a cracker of a goal.
Yeah, look, for me, I'll go for McAllister. I just think McAllister's a better player.
He wants to go to Juventus. He wants to go to Juventus.
Yeah. Would you blame him? Would you really blame him? I would just go comment here, and I found an article where I can't get it up, but I reread the article, and it may be the reason why Son isn't having the best seasons. And I'd love to get your interest on it, Philip. I just saw it there now. Filio says here, went to the Villa game last week, and what a poor performance. But the highlight of the day was getting a photo with two legends, Gary Mabbott and Mickey
very
Hazard.
Good. That's great. Isn't it great when you get things like that? It really is brilliant.
It is. I actually sent a DM to Mickey Hazard last night, Philip. I tell you after screen what it was about, but I'm just trying to think. Do you want to read this one out? By Mia, which she makes a very good point here, actually.
Everton is such a good example of having money but not doing things right, and now in a lot more trouble than they need to be in. Exactly. They bought the wrong players for that too much money. And let's face it, look, I don't know how we're fixed with them over Dele Alli. I really do not know how that one worked out for everybody, but I take it we're not going to make any money out of it.
No, we're not. We are not making any money on that. Right. The next thing here I found, Philip, is an article in the Evening Standard, and it's Son, I struggled to see the ball while wearing the mask, but my parents are worried. And it goes on to say, Tottenham's Heung-min Son has believed he loses the sight of the ball while playing in the protective mask, but says he's still wearing it due to concern from his parents. Son scored in the second league game of the season. The Spurs thrashed Palace 4-0 on Wednesday night, and he's expected to start again when Conte rings the changes for tomorrow's FA Cup third round Portsmouth, which you can follow. We are doing a watch-along to that match, me and Philip. The South Korean flung off the mask while celebrating his goal at Selhurst Park, but his parents want him to keep wearing it. Now, is it this again, Philip, where his father is... is his father sick in years? Philip, I've got to stop it here. We've got some breaking news. This is from Toxic Headshot. Big up Toxic Headshot. It says, understand, Perrault is at the top of the list for Tottenham. Spurs would try to sign a player, would be keen to news. And it says, breaking news, Perrault wants to move to Tottenham. So,
listen, I have my reservations about him, but if Conte wants to sign him and he signs him, I'll be 100% behind him.
Yeah,
like every other player we sign. I just don't know. I'm just not convinced. That's probably the best way of putting it. I wonder, does that mean is it Marcus Edwards in the deal as well? That's another interesting part.
Right. So look, he goes on. He says, obviously, this is quoted now by Son. Obviously, it's not the same one as when I play without the mask. Son told the Standard Sport. My vision is still okay, but when the ball is coming to me, it's sometimes annoying because I can't see the ball because of the mask.
It's like having blinkers on. It's blinkers.
It's not really bothering me, but it's not the best. Against Villa, I was really frustrated because I received the ball and then suddenly I lost the ball because I couldn't see it. I was just angry. If I'm alone, obviously I would play without the mask, but my parents and family and friends watching back in South Korea are all worried. Obviously, it's a risk if someone hits me again. His parents didn't say you should wear it or whatever, but we were having dinner after the Villa game and they said, what happened with the mask? Obviously they're worried. And also the physio and the doctor said after the Villa game, it's your decision, but we recommend you should still be wearing the mask because it's a risk is still high because of it's just 7 weeks since the operation. Philip, could this actually be the reason why Son's having a poor season?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, playing with those masks, like, it's okay for a centre back to play with those masks. Just kind of seeing things, in front of him. Son plays on the shoulder of the defence. Balls are coming over his shoulder. It's difficult for him to, unless he's got pure 100% vision. And those masks do not allow that. When you look to one side, there's a little bit of a blind spot on both sides. Now, the mask to me looks quite big. I wonder if they're not do a smaller version of a thinner version. That allow him a little bit. Now, I can understand what his parents are saying, especially his dad. I mean, I wouldn't like to get into an argument with his dad and go against him because that guy is scary. So I can see where he's torn between it now. But I would hope, to be honest with you, I think Sonny should try and play without the mask. It's 7 or 8 weeks now since the operation. It should be okay again. And the physio boys have left it up to him, but they're kind of recommending you err on the side of caution. Yeah. But I think until Sonny's playing without the mask, we're not going to see the real Sonny back. No. That's my opinion. Yeah,
I agree with you, Philip. Can I just say to Carl Simpson, very bloody funny. Ha ha. That's what I'm going to say. Very funny. Ha bloody ha. Philly has put, got to shoot, but a great show. Keep up the good work. Big up to you both. Big up Philly 1 to 3 coys. And I'm sure you will be on Dave's show. Mia's put in a good show. Maybe Di wearing the mask will be an improvement. I don't know.
Yeah.
Philip,
we'll
quickly finish off now. We're maybe going to finish off the show now. Look, it's the FA Cup third round, Philip, tomorrow. It's the big day in the football calendar. Third round day. And 5 Spurs. We've got 5 FA Cup third round ties to remember. I'll go through the 5, Philip, and then maybe you can pick the best. 5th, Blackburn, when we beat Blackpool in 91, when we beat them 1-0 away. Paul Stewart with the winning goal on our way to Wembley. 95, 3-0 against Altrincham. Sorry if I haven't got that name right. Apologise. 4-0 against Peterborough United in 2010. I tell you a story, Philip. I went to when Ozzy was manager, we got Peterborough United in the third round of the FA Cup, and we beat them at penalties at our ground. We just beat them that season. 7-0 against Tranmere Rovers, and then 5-0 against Marine. Philip, highlight any FA Cup third round you remember over the years?
The one that I remember most is probably one I nearly turned into a nightmare for us. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was the last season at the Lane, maybe. We played Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah.
And Wycombe were winning 3-2 after 84 minutes. And we were in serious danger of going out of the cup. Now, it might have been a third round. I'm not quite sure. It probably was a third round. But anyway. Then Dele Alli scored the equaliser. And in 94 minutes, Heung-min Son burst into the penalty area. He tried a shot, which estimates probably would have hit the corner flag.
Yeah.
It took a huge deflection back of the net, and we won 4-3.
Yeah.
So that was one that got out of jail on that one. Yeah. I like the one we went to Marine there a couple of years ago and won 7-0, and Andy Devine became our youngest ever scorer in the FA Cup. But I think there's probably a few third rounds I prefer to forget as well, because the FA Cup is a great leveler. I mean, I'm not taking this game with Portsmouth tomorrow anyway lightly because they're bringing nearly 10,000 fans with them. It's the biggest game they've had in years. We owe them for 2010 when they beat us in the semi-final at Wembley.
Yeah, we do.
I have a feeling that we're going to win tomorrow. We're going to win comfortably, and Harry Kane is going to score 2. That's my prediction.
One more bit of news, Philip. Transfer link. Tottenham linked with the 88 million transfer of where is it now? Oh yeah, of RB Leipzig central defender Garvial.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Apparently now Tottenham are very interested in them. This is in an article on football.london, Philip. The 6.1 centre-back has been strongly linked with a move to Chelsea, but a move to West London now seems unlikely after Todd Bowley secured the AC Monaco defender for 33.6 million. So his contract expires at Red Bull Arena in 2027, meaning any potential suitor will be forced to cough up close to 150 million euro. Now, according to the bill, Spurs are among the list of clubs who want Garvalo, that player, in the summer, as Daniel Levy aims to maintain Conte as head coach. Now, again, Philip, is this just paper talk, or is Conte now getting his way at Tottenham?
Well, Tottenham London, is that Alistair Gold's outlet?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right, I'm inclined to believe Alistair Gold a bit more than some of the other guys because he is close to the club. Listen, if we sign Vardiol, I would nearly walk down High Road with no shoes on and kiss Daniel Levy's feet. That's how big a transfer that would be.
Yeah,
and it's a statement of intent. If we get Vardiol, there's no way Conte is going anywhere because he will be so delighted to get that play. That boy was best centre back in the World Cup by a long way. And if we get him, it'll be I'd be absolutely shocked if we did, but we'll see. We'll see whether we can get him or not. It's that's really come out of the blue, that, because and I thought Vardiol would be something he'd be going to the likes of Chelsea or Man City or a team like that,
Yeah.
But if we're in for him and he wants to come, okay, you wouldn't know. Like Perisic probably had a word with him during the World Cup. And bigged up the situation at Tottenham. So, Ivan could have been a big factor in this thing, even being on the table at the moment.
Yeah. And Carl Simpson's put here, Philip, I've heard that the deal is very much on and Spurs would pay the money. Now, Philip, look, is this now, are we seeing a change in how Tottenham are going to do the transfer business now?
Well, if this happens, we are seeing a sea change in it. We're seeing an absolutely, complete 180-degree flip in the way Daniel Levy does business. To bring in Vardiol as a centre-back would be a statement of intent. Probably the biggest signing we've made in, since who? Oh, my God, I can't even think back.
Yeah.
It would be the biggest signing the club has made in absolute years. The guy's only 20 years of age as well. There's a huge future against him. Maybe he sees him as buying him for 100 million or whatever it is now and selling him on for twice that in 4 years' time. That could be the way Levy's looking at it.
Yeah, could be. Look, Philip, we've got the FA Cup tomorrow. Of course, we're doing the watch along to that. Of course, the girls are doing the fan zone tonight. So please get in and get your thoughts on everything Tottenham Hotspur. Final thought before we end the show, Philip. Look, we're as Carl Simpson says here, Philip, we're a few quality players away from a really challenging. We need just to go for it.
Yeah.
How are you confident now? Like we had the Villa thing and all what happened after the Villa game. How are you now sitting before an FA Cup game tomorrow? Are you more confident Conte will be here at the start of next season?
Well, if this is the change in transfer tactics that we're going to use, it's been brought on by two things. One, Antonio Conte's reticence to sign a new contract, and obviously Daniel Levy's wanting him to do so. And also, too, I think that the protests are now maybe beginning to have a little bit of an effect on Daniel Levy. He realizes that now he's in the last chance saloon as regards his manager. If he was to lose Antonio Conte because he wouldn't back him in the transfer window, there's no going back. That's the end of it. He's finished. So now he thinks, looking in the long picture, he thinks it's better to speculate now and accumulate later, and keep everybody happy. Not to keep everybody happy, but transfer in coming in like that would be an absolute quality sign to it's a dog whistle to the rest of the Premiership. Tottenham mean business.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate us anymore.
According to Mir, she's saying, I'm just reading, we might have to sell Kane to fund it. And Carl Simpson says, Maya, you're like an evil chat message. Don't sell him Kane unless he says, I won't sign a new contract. Look, for me, Harry Kane, I saw it yesterday, Harry Kane will finish his career at Tottenham.
Yeah.
He won't go to Man City, thing's dead. He doesn't want to go abroad. He will finish his career at Tottenham. So I think that will be the end of it. And FTSN says, as I am a United fan and I worry about Spurs, Conte needs backing more than he has been. And he also put...
I'm just wondering what way is he worrying about Spurs? He's worrying that Spurs might be better than United if we do get these players.
Yeah. And he says, we will take Kane off your hands. I don't think... No disrespect to Man United. I don't think Kane... Do you know what? We won't sell him to you. He doesn't want to go there. But you look at the clubs, Philip, like United and Man City, and you look at Chelsea and all these big spenders, Newcastle now you're in there as well. Do you think that we can compete with these teams by doing it our way, or do we have to be like them teams now for a season or 2 seasons? Spend.
Get the players in that we need. I mean, I think just to go back on the Harry Kane thing a bit there, I think what's happened here is somebody's seen the report we're buying Vardiol and has automatically assumed, given Daniel Levy's previous record, we're going to have to sell Kane to fund it.
Yeah.
I don't see anything behind that. I think that's just paper talk, just
I think
2 and 2 equals 7, But yeah, like, I mean, okay, we can never match the money of Man City. No. Or Newcastle will be the same boat in a couple of years' time, but we can do it. We can do it in the way that we've got the income streams that we have at the club at the moment are probably better than any other Premiership club.
Yeah.
When you look at it, we've got the NFL, we've got the concerts, we've got the boxing. That's bringing in millions into the club. We've got the game day receipts, over $1 million a day they take in the bars and the restaurants.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen anywhere else. So like we can okay, it might need to go back to the bank manager and say, listen, we need a short-term overdraft of a couple of $100 million to keep us going until we get these new players in. And the bank, if they're any way foreseeable, foresighting, will say, yes, we've got a huge business model here, a financially sound business model with huge potential in the future. Because I can see most of the concerts in London coming to Spurs. You can fit 70,000 people into a concert, as opposed to how many 20,000 in the arena.
Yeah, that's true.
Or whatever. So, like if they work it right, 2 or 3 concerts a year would pay back the bank and let us buy the players we need.
And on that, Philip, we can go up to 400 million on the FFP, but doesn't mean we can't spend 400 million, but we can do a 4 million. FTSN says, I'm not worried about Spurs being better than United. We are better than United. But do you know what? Fair play from a United fan coming in and putting some really good comments in the chat, and I love that. That's what
it's all about, because we get a lot of fans coming in here now slagging off Spurs and they've been, thinking they're funny. Colin, it's great to see a good, well-informed, reasonable guy that can make comments without making fun of each other. So well done. I hope to see you back in again.
Yeah, and get in touch with us. We'll get you on a show. Get in touch with us. We'd love to get you on.
Next time we play United.
Yeah, please get in touch and we'll get you on. Very quickly, Philip, look, we have the money. We are about to publish 180 million profits.
That's what I'm saying. And that's retained profit. I mean, that's what's coming. That's what I'm saying. That's the possibilities we have to earn money in this club.
And he says, unfortunately, the world of football is changing. It's going fast. Self-sustainability clubs will be struggling as multi-billionaires just throw money at clubs such as Newcastle City, etc. Look, we could do a whole show on that, Philip, and we probably will. Yeah. Listen, Philip, that's the end of this Newsbeat Transfer News Show. We hope you've enjoyed it. The girls are back tonight, aren't they, Philip?
Yes, they're doing the fan show tonight, and looking forward to that. And we'll be back tomorrow at about 12:15 for the watch along with the Tottenham versus Portsmouth FA Cup third round game.
Yeah, and
should be a great spectacle. It'd be great to see the noise in the stadium and the pressure being off a little bit from the league campaign.
Yeah. And also, we'll be back on Sunday with the post match. Monday we've got the ladies show with Ellie and Mia. Tuesday we're having the day off, and then Wednesday we're back with the build up to the North London derby. Don't forget, every day the Godfather himself next to me will be putting up his thoughts. That will be going up now shortly after the stream, so please watch that. We're going up probably about for 5 o'clock. That will be going up on the stream, and then. Also, just thanks for everyone. And as ever, thanks for everyone. Don't forget to hit that button. And also, if you can, grab yourself a membership. It does help us grow. And Carl Simpson's is a great show, guys. We try to do a good show every time. Well, Philip, thank you for doing Newsbeat with me. It's always a joy doing the show with you. I enjoy it so much.
Same here, Dermot.
The girls are back later. Me and Philip are back tomorrow with the watch along.
Come on, you Spurs.
Please join us and come on, you Spurs, in CONTE you trust. And also, our sympathies go out to Gianluca Vianney's family at this very, very sad time. But in CONTE we trust. Come on, you Spurs.